Okay, let's go. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the exploration of, and I am Author Michelle Warren, and tonight's exploration is of finances and wealth. So we have Miss Dorcas, Miss Angel joining us today, and we're going to just have a very real conversation about finances and what it takes to change some of the mindsets of what financial stability is and things that we need to do to prepare to live as the most recent statement is our most best life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings about what financial stability is and what it takes to get to that point and how we create it to make sure that not only ourselves and our lifetime is taken care of, but to create generational wealth and to make sure that our offspring are covered in the next generation and teach them the right way. So, welcome to our guest, and let's get it going. First question, as you all know, I always ask that what is question first. The first question is, what is financial stability to you? We're going to start off with Miss Angel, and then we're going to go to Miss Dorcas.
Financial stability. Ooh. Um, I would say financial stability is being able to cover all necessary expenses as far as bills and everything else is concerned, while also having the finances, well, emergency finances for one, and also having other finances for leisure. Yeah, leisure.
Okay, Miss Dorcas.
My views on financial stability is being able to take care of your family and still be able to, like Angel was saying, still be able to do the things that you want to do, but still have money in the bank just in case emergencies were to come up, or if, for instance, you just needed to save some money on the side, or and also to make sure that you have money in the bank for your children and your grandchildren. For instance, I'm a mom of two. So to me, generational wealth is very important. So whenever I think of financial stability, I want to make sure that my children are set and their children are set. I want to make sure that when they grow up, if they want to go to college, that I have a college fund ready and I won't be working all the time in order to pay or cover their college fund. If they want to go out and start a business, I want them to be able to do that without having to struggle, because that, to me, that is what is very important to me, the ability to do what you want to do when you want to do it and not have to worry about what may happen with your finances.
Mine is yours, you two ladies. It's just having the understanding that what comes in is not more than what's going out. I can put some to the side. I know that if life happens, I am ready for it in a whole different manner.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, great. Next question. In this in this whole pandemic season, how important has financial stability, the understanding of the need for financial stability come into play? Go ahead, Angel.
I'm sorry, could you re-ask that? I had a little glitch that was going on here.
Okay. With this way this pandemic is set up, how how important has it come to our attention of what we need to do to get financially stable? How important has it become that we realize just how unstable we really are?
Okay, well, a lot of people know that I am in the Army. So with the pandemic, I'm not going to say it hasn't affected me, but financially, it hasn't affected me. I probably do more shopping than I should, but that's just the job I'm doing in the military. But as far as me actually being because I know a lot of people have lost jobs, lost their careers, career changes, moving to different cities in order to find work. Me personally, like I said, I haven't really been affected by it, but I kind of have, because I'm doing unnecessary shopping just because, but like I said, that has everything to do with me being in the Army and not with me being affected by the pandemic. I have seen different sides as far as the financial stability. I've seen people who have lost their jobs, lost their careers, and are more dependent on the itty bitty stimmies that's been given out every so often. And then I have seen people that have been promoted through, in their careers, or had to move, but it was for a good reasoning to start a new career, or they got hired at this company. The biggest layoffs I would say would have been the airlines. Those furloughed employees, like I know they are affected tremendously by it because they're not able to fly and get the hours that they need to take care of themselves or even their families. So it has different effects. Me, not so much. I'm thankful for the Army for that reason. But yeah.
So for me, it didn't necessarily create a bad effect for me for when the pandemic hit. It actually helped create my business. To be honest with you, the pandemic gave me the ability to actually step out of the 9 to 5 that I did have and create my business and actually work my business and build it to where it is now. Because not that I didn't have a great job, my job was wonderful. I actually ended up working from home, and it was actually right after I had my son. And then from there, I was able to just work from home. And while I was working from home, I also worked on my business. And while doing so, I was able to build enough funds up to be able to just leave my job. So I'm no longer working a 9 to 5, and I literally work my job 24/7, my business 24/7 now, which I really don't look at it as a job. It's more of my lifestyle. But the pandemic has been, and this is kind of sad to say, it's been great for me because it's given me the opportunity to do what I wanted to do without having the stress of working a 9 to 5 at the actual facility. Instead, I was working 9 to 5 from home, but I was still working my business. Really, the only downside to it is, like I was saying before, I am a mama too, was the daycare and the kids being out of school. So that one took a huge toll on me, having to juggle virtual learning, and my son is still in virtual learning, and I have a 2-year-old, and he's just running rampant around the house also. So that was my real struggle, the daycare shutting down, and then just having, because my sons have ailments also. So just trying to be okay, well, making sure that they're okay whenever they're in daycare or in a drop-in daycare facility. But that would be like my main struggle. But besides that, the pandemic has actually been a blessing to me. And I've actually, like Angel was saying, I've seen it on both sides where people would create businesses and start up companies and become successful through the pandemic. And then I've seen where people have lost their homes because they lost their jobs, because I'm also in real estate. So I've had those phone calls where, okay, well, I'm getting evicted and I need to get into a home quick, but it's really, the housing market increased. So there was really no rental properties available for these individuals. So I've seen that where people have lost their homes, they've lost their jobs, they lost their careers because of the pandemic. So it's two sides to the pandemic. So I hope most people fell on the good side, but I do know a few people did fall on the bad side.
Okay.
I
And
got one quick thing to say about the whole business thing, because I was actually supposed to start a business, but I haven't done so yet because it's so many different ideas that I have. I don't know which ones to go with first. But I will say that the pandemic has really brought out the most creative people, the hustlers. It's brought out a lot of people with these. Just I have a small business support. Like it has really brought out the Black-owned business. I will wholeheartedly say that. A lot of the main industry that I've seen, of course, is hair and accessories and anything like clothes related like that. But I have got to say and hand it to them that it has really brought it out. I get on Instagram, it's new business every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited to see it. Like, I'm very excited to start mine. I just don't know when I will be starting it, but I'm excited to do it.
Yeah.
So I applaud everybody who has a small owned, medium size, whatever, however big your business is or however small it is. I wholeheartedly applaud those who are able to start that business and keep it running during this time.
And I think I bring a slightly different perspective. So yeah, I'm creative to some extent. So it helped me do some things like this whole the exploration platform and all of that is starting to help me understand different things. Um, I think it made us get a lot more clarity in this pandemic about what is needed. Because a lot of people who spent money or didn't understand what the value is of what they have is making it real to them on when you say keep 3 months in the bank. Now they understand that statement. Where before it's like, yeah. Now it's wait, they might have something to that because if they'd had them 3 months in the bank, like you said, they wouldn't have been in foreclosure. They wouldn't have been. So it was, oh, okay. You know, because of my journey to get a house, some stuff I was able to go ahead and already have been working on, but it opened my eyes to things. Mm-hmm. And as you talk to people, it's like you said, having kids home and your groceries went up.
Yes.
Went up, your water went up, your nerves were shredded, all of it. They have what they need so that they can do this virtual learning. And like for me, I was in the office the whole time. So I'm getting calls from teachers while I'm trying to work, talking about he not on the live. So I'm trying to call home. So it teaches you how to time management, but it does teach you money management because your light bill where normally would have been 160 is now 280 because there's somebody in your house all day. That them $250 worth of groceries that normally last you about 3 weeks lasted you maybe a week and a half because they in the house, they bored, they eating all day. So it changed your dynamics where it may not all necessarily put you in the ground. It made you very clear about what's going on in your life and in your finances. When you look at your bank account, it's like there's a negative in front of. So negative amount. I got to put some money in there. And like you say, it calls people to be creative. I got to get a side hustle. I saw people selling plates. I saw people.
Yeah.
I saw people doing what they could because, wow.
And you are absolutely right. I looked at one of my bills, my light bill, for instance. And I just compared the differences between pre-COVID and post-COVID. And I'm like, who in the world is in this house using all this electricity? But it's like, I can't really say much because I'm the one that's home. The kids are home. So it's us using it. So then eventually I did look at my my food bill and we started rationing. So so it does, you are absolutely right. It does take a toll on a lot of the bills that are in your household because you're now home 24/7. You're now stuck inside 24/7. Unless you go out for a little bit and then you're still coming back home. It's not like the kids or you were going to an actual building and staying there. So nobody is using water, nobody is using electricity, nobody is on using the cable bill, like nobody is using the data. We're still at home. Our bills are still going up. So you absolutely, especially the food bill. Oh my Lord. Yes, the food bill.
That's exactly but it is. You like, wait, what happened? Wait. And for some people, because now they have to use now they're using credit cards a whole lot more. They realize, oh well, maybe I shouldn't have did the minimum. Maybe I should have paid it down a little bit more because now I need it.
Yep.
And I only have 2% available because I've only been paying the minimum and paying all this. It makes you cognizant of the financial backlash now. Where you may not be on the streets, but you show paying attention to them bills a whole lot more. You show pulling that credit a little bit more because you have to know, okay, if something happened, am I going to be able to move to another apartment? Am I going to be able to move into a home? You know, am I going to be able to get help if I need to go take a loan out at the bank? What we doing?
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing I've seen a lot of people creating credit repair businesses and repairing people's credit. So everyone is looking to repair their credit so that they can get larger loans or they can get credit cards with a larger amount on them. And that way they can use those funds to either, because I know a lot of people are looking to purchase a home because of the housing market, but they can also use those funds to go get a credit card for something that they may need for an emergency inside of their home.
Yeah, I definitely thought about opening or taking a class. I don't know what her name is on Facebook, but she offers a class so that she teaches you to fix other people's credit.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yo, this is a very lucrative business right now, and I'm thinking about doing it.
It really is
behind it, but when I looked at the prices that people were charging for a credit repair, I said, wow.
Yeah.
This little band might not be so bad in investing in a business that I could literally almost charge the same amount to fix somebody else's credit.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about it. I'm still thinking about it. It's seeming like a good idea right now.
But just whenever you choose, whatever business you choose, just make sure you're passionate about it. Just make sure it's something that you love. Otherwise, you're going to get into it. You're going to see the money, but it's not going to be something that you're going to continue.
And that's a real thing. That's a very real thing. So, with that being said, as we're watching all of these businesses emerge, we're seeing the credit repairs. But while they're repairing the credit, do we see that they're still making better credit decisions in the midst of repairing their credit? That becomes a very, you go in and you do this wonderful thing and they write the letters and they repair all of these things, but after they've repaired it, what you're doing? Once you reach that 700, are you maintaining the 700?
That's a good question.
So that was my thing. So as we look at people and see what they're doing, what advice would you give to someone who is striving to make that 700 and what they do with it once they achieve it and say, okay, we've gotten 700, now what? What's the next step in that?
I would say the next step is just to keep your utilization down. So you don't have these defaults or unpaid unpaid payments on it. If you're looking to purchase a home with your credit score, just make sure while you're in the process of purchasing that home, you ain't out going to purchase a car. You're not out trying to purchase any appliances. Shoot, don't even go out and purchase a piece of gum on credit. Pay cash for it, because that'll make a huge difference in the home buying process. But just to keep that score and just to keep building it, I would say credit utilization. Don't go out there and get a credit card or get 3 to 5 credit cards, different ones, and max them out and then not pay them off, or max them out, period. Only use 30% of those credit cards and then pay it off. Use those credit cards on something that you know you have to pay in cash for anyways. Use it on some gas, use it on some groceries, use it on a bill that you know you got to pay back anyways. Those are the types of things. It's not, the credit card is really it was created to use on emergencies. That's what I was taught when I was raised. My credit card was used for emergencies. So me and my brother, we needed braces. So that's what my mom used the credit card for, and she paid it off. Those were the things that you would use the credit card for, and then you would pay on it. Don't pay the minimum balance. The minimum balance doesn't really knock anything off. Pay a larger amount on it. That way it gets paid off quicker and you're not paying that as much interest. That would be my take on trying to maintain it. or get with a credit repair company that actually teaches you how to repair your credit and then also teaches you how to maintain it.
Angel?
Well, I would say when it comes to I think maintaining, once you get to a certain point, it's all about knowing how to maintain that certain point. So I think a lot of people aim for a 700, 750 in order to make a big purchase, whether it's a house or a car. And let's say that they've made that purchase of the house and the car, and they're doing good for the first year. But then life happens and it starts to slip away. Like you miss a payment here on the mortgage, or you miss a payment here on the car note. Then that it takes a hit on your credit. And then when you need to make another purchase in the distant future or even the near future, you have messed it up. And you're like, dang, I just had this score, but now it's this. But the reason being is that you didn't maintain it. You didn't know how to maintain it. You didn't find a way to maintain it. You weren't cautious with the purchases that you were making, or even on your credit card, or allowing these stores to pretty much run your credit when that is. Some stores do a soft inquiry, and then there are some stores that do a hard inquiry. And people don't know that those hard inquiries have hit their credit until it's too late. They don't already got the points. So it's really all about getting the score that you want, maintaining the score that you want, being frugal with your money. That's really what it's all about.
And I think you guys hit it. And then to add on to that, I think education is key, because they're looking at this, and like you said, Angel, they're looking for that big purchase. But here goes, you make that big purchase, and after it's done, why let it go down? Why not just maintain it? Why not? And you make this big purchase, and then you end up living above your means. You got a 700, so you got this house that was your rent you was paying in your apartment was 800, but you got this house as 1,000, and you were struggling to pay the 800. So now you got this house is what you wanted, but you've put yourself above what you're able to afford.
Mm-hmm.
So now you created a deficit in your own budget that is going to be every month. And lo and behold, don't let your car break down, or don't let a pipe buzz. Don't let something happen. Your kid gets sick. Now the deficit, you're now in the red, and now you're becoming in that situation where you have to struggle and work 2 extra side hustles to catch up.
Yeah.
So I think education is really key when it comes to finances, because we need to understand what we're doing and how we're doing it.
And I think that's a huge, and you hit the nail on the head with that one. Living beyond your means, living above your means. And I think a lot of us do that. And we don't necessarily intentionally do that, but it's just something that we see something that we like, we go out and buy it instead of sticking to our budget. Or we go out and say, oh, my friend is taking a trip, and we don't want them, and we want to go, but we know it's not in our budget, but instead we still go anyways. But that's going to take a hit on us that next month, or even if it's not that next month, it could be that following month. So that right there is a huge problem in our society, living beyond our means because we either have the credit to do so, or we just want to because we want to be like the Joneses, for lack of a better term. So we have to focus on what we are capable of doing, what our budget actually says, and actually stick to that budget instead of going outside and beyond that budget just so that we can look like and feel like the Joneses.
And I think that's a key. Also, having financial literacy. Everyone wants to jump in and do these things, but they don't take the time to learn. I mean, even on Facebook, there's multiple groups where you have some people who, yeah, they tell you how to just fix the credit, but then you have a bunch of groups that are really putting the information to say, hey, not only fix it, let me show you how to do a budget. Let me show you what you need to do. Let me show you what your points mean on your mortgage. Let me show you what this interest rate does to your car. Don't go out and get this car with this interest rate because you're going to be dying because majority of ain't gonna be on your interest. Don't go out and get this. Don't go finance every piece of furniture you got. Your house don't have to be done tomorrow. Just wait a minute. There's all these community thrift stores because you have people who, when they do buy furniture, still have furniture. Work that on out because a lot of people are losing because they have so many bills and they're overwhelmed because they didn't think about it when they did it. And like Angel say, you go in and says, "Oh, we'll give you this if you run this credit," and you don't even realize that you done jacked your whole credit. People don't understand that after about 5 inquiries, your points are about 4 to 5 inquiries, hard inquiries, your points are dropping on your credit, and they last for 2 years, and it take at least a year before they start easing off. They might give you a couple points back, and then to the 2-year mark, then they'll give you more points back. People don't understand how having a bunch of credit cards, it may give you more access to money, but it might make creditors look like, oh, your debt ratio is too high because you have 8 credit cards and all of them, halfway used. It doesn't matter that you pay majority of them off or down. You still have a whole lot of credit on your report.
Yep.
And paying, like you said, paying the minimum, and you paying more interest than anything else. People don't understand what them student loans could do.
Ooh. Girl, no, you didn't.
When you send that payment for your student loan, if you do it while it's in deferment, send them $20, $30 every paycheck. When you send them, say, for principal only, because it's not due yet. It's not due. It's hard if you have that interest on $20,000 versus that interest on $15,000. It makes your life different when your payments come back into play.
Yep.
Learning. Like, oh, okay, so I ain't got to pay the whole thing off, but if I just go ahead and pay an extra $50 a paycheck, or when I get my income taxes, and since it's not due yet, and just make sure I put it for principal only and knock that principal down. I'm gonna have to pay the interest when it come into play anyway. But if I can eliminate as much principal as possible while it's not due, by the time the interest comes into play, it won't be so much.
That's right.
I had to learn. And people don't understand. Same thing with your house note. When you pay your mortgage payment, if you can pay $50 extra and put the extra 50 for principal only, you at the end, instead of having 30 years, you may knock it down to 29 and a half or 29. And I've had friends who told me, they was like, do better than that. Every time the income tax came,
put that money on it.
That may not be the whole thing, but they paid $2,000 towards the principal every year for income tax. You do that at least the first 15 years of that, you've taken 5 years off the end of that mortgage loan. When it's 3 checks in a month and she got extra money, she would take that so-called extra money and put it towards the principal. So she took her 30-year mortgage payment and knocked it down, I think, to like 12 and a half.
What?
But it took discipline and dedication. I ain't there yet. Forgive me, Lord. But I took what she did and I learned it. And I said, oh, okay, that's what we doing. Because she made sure she did it while her kids were still young. So she was getting that big money so that by the time they were old enough to get out of her house, she was about done. But to create generational wealth, her kid's name is on that house. So something happens to her, they got a home to come back to.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my next question. Generational wealth. How often are we seeing that these days, that wealth is lasting from generation to generation? How often are we seeing that in the midst of everything, how often are we seeing that when mom passes, the family's taken care of because she's done everything she could do to make sure that they didn't have to struggle to go bury her and struggle to live at her death. Angel.
I'm still waiting to see it. Still waiting to see it. Even not even just within my family. I'm just waiting to see it within my friends. Like I have maybe two friends I can say that their parents have created or accumulated wealth to the point where I know that if something were to happen to their parents tomorrow, they would be fine. And I could be wrong. But like I said, I'm still waiting to see it.
So for me, I was fortunate enough to have parents. Well, my dad passed, and my mom had to go through the process of burying him while we were younger. And then my mom passed away, but before she passed away, she made sure that all three of us, including her grands, were set. And it wasn't necessarily liquid funds, it was more of life insurance policies. Um, Even though she did have liquid funds, it was more of life insurance policies. And it's not really necessarily something that I can't say she didn't instill in us the importance of finances and understanding financial literacy, but it was more of, she told us that we were doing wrong and that we needed to fix some. She didn't really clarify it. But she showed us during the process of her passing that the importance of having multiple life insurances. She was able to set it up to where we had a life insurance policy that took care of her burial. We had a life insurance policy that took care of her three kids. Then she had a life insurance policy that took care of her finances. Then she had enough finances in the bank to take care of what needed to be taken care of for her business. And then she had life insurance that took care of her grandkids. So I'm a big advocate for life insurance, just in general. So I'm seeing it more prominent lately that people are creating generational wealth for their children and their grandchildren, or saying it. But before COVID hit, I really didn't hear a lot about generational wealth. I really didn't hear a lot of people saying that they wanted to build wealth. They wanted to purchase life insurance. They were setting up plans for their grands or their children after death. But then again, we also have to think, like, a lot of people don't really want to think about death, because I mean, we all gonna die one day, just to be honest with you. I mean, everybody knows we're all gonna die one day, but why not have a life insurance in place, or have something in place to where we only pay a certain amount a month, or we could pay it off for the whole year. And in the event we do pass away, our children are set, even if we don't have the liquid funds in our bank account. I mean, the life insurance policy is something that is very, very important. And I mean, and not to be prejudiced or anything, but very important in our culture. It's very important because we have so many elements that we deal with just in our culture alone. I mean, and on top of that stress, it's important to have something set up so that we don't have to create a GoFundMe or a charity, or go to a charity to bury us. It's important to have something set up, even if we're working 3-4 jobs and we still don't have the funds. You can still purchase a life insurance policy that's $30 a month that'll cover your burial, cover your children, and cover your grands if your grands do come. So this is something that's very, very, very important, even outside of just building generational wealth. You just have to make sure that you are set up to where everything is taken care of if you pass, because you don't want that burden to fall on your children. But like I said, I was fortunate enough to have a mom that thought that way. So, and like I said, I didn't see it pre-COVID, but post-COVID, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about creating generational wealth. And generational wealth is not just liquid cash. It's also those policies that are in place, those trusts that are in place, businesses that are passed down, homes that are passed down, cars that are passed down. Even though cars depreciate, that's something that that child can drive in the long run to get from A to B to get to a job. Those things are very, very, very important whenever you're creating generational wealth, because it's not just cash, it's having things in place as well.
And I totally agree. And like you said before, I didn't hear about it too much because everybody wanted to live in this cloud of we're gonna live forever. But when aunties start dying and uncles start dying and your coworkers and you're losing 5 people in a 2 week time frame and you had to stop and say, hold on, wait a minute, what in the world? And every week there's somebody doing like you say, a GoFundMe, a barbecue or something, because they weren't prepared. They thought they had time. And it's not the older generation that are passing, it's the younger ones. Because you thinking, oh, I'm only in my 20s, I got time. And then COVID comes in. And even if you didn't pass of COVID, the stress of life got to you. I mean, I had 30 years, I know classmates in their 30s that had heart issues. I have my own medical issues, and it made me stop and look. My kids are still under the age of 18. I need to make sure that if I, curl up and die, do you know how to use a credit card? Do you know what a budget is? Do you know where my policy's at? Do you know what policies I have? And like you said, it's not necessarily even just the liquid form. I think another thing that we have to be mindful of, we got to put stuff on paper. We got to put it on paper because we have 4 policies that we may not have and may put it to a trust, but who's the executive of the trust? What law firm holds it? You got to put something on paper because people are, I work in a situation where I handle 401k for a company, and I hear the dependent calling in or the beneficiary calling in having to do a report of death, and the money's been sitting here 3 years because they didn't know it was there. So they're struggling to do all these other things that could have helped them potentially bury their parent and all this other stuff. But mama never put on paper that she had this 401k over here and there's money to be received. Or you find the ones that you have to go in the state rules of, okay, she never put a beneficiary down. So, okay, so a spouse, then children, then, and it's too much. If you have a policy, put a beneficiary. If you don't want an individual person, put a trust, set that up. Do a will. Do a will. And if you have medical issues, do a medical power of attorney. Let somebody be able to don't let them have to fight to make your decisions because you're in a coma and don't nobody know what to do.
Yeah.
Because that
it is. And that's something, I think that death is a situation that you definitely need to talk about. I don't care how old you are. I need my 10-year-old, I talk to him every day. Where do you want to go stay if something were to happen to me? What would you want to do? Like, we talk about college, we talk about what types of things he wants to do with his life. That way I know, okay, so I need this amount of money so that he can be taken care of. I need this amount of money for this. I need this amount of money for whomever he's going with because they're taking care of my child. Death is a huge topic. It's a scary topic, but we all gonna die. It's a huge topic that needs to be discussed. And even before dying, make sure that you get a life insurance policy, because I know I've been talking about death a lot, but life insurance policies can be cashed in. If you get the right one and you're with the right company, I'm not going to say any names, but if you get the right one and you're with the right company, after a certain period of time, you can cash in a life insurance policy and get cash from it. If you need it, that's like an emergency fund that you can take away from. The money that you put in is the same amount of money that you can take out. But you have to talk about it. Like Ms. Michelle was saying, get a will in place. I don't care what age you are. If you're healthy, some of the healthiest people die quick. So get a will in place. Make sure you have everything ironed out. Talk to your children, talk to your family members, talk to your beneficiaries about what you have in place. I know sometimes you don't want to tell people that you got $100,000 left for them so that they could try to kill you or something, but but that's something that you definitely need to talk about with your family, your friends, whomever your beneficiaries are. That way that money is just not stuck somewhere. You can lay out in the will what you want to do with those funds, what they have to do with those funds. If you're leaving liquid funds to them, you can iron out, okay, so they have to graduate from college in order to receive these funds. They have to make a certain grade in their in school. They have to do certain things in order to cash this money or receive these funds. We see it all the time, but this is important things that need to be discussed in families, with friendships. If you don't have any family that you consider family, talk to your friends about this, what you want, because it's huge. This is a huge deal, especially in our culture, that we don't put these things in place. They need to be put in place so that we don't have people running around and trying to figure out what to do next whenever someone passes away. During death is the hardest time to make decisions because your emotions are everywhere. Whenever that person has something that they want done, just stick with what they want done. Don't go changing anything just because you feel like it's wrong. If they have it ironed out, they don't want to be resuscitated, let them pass away in peace and keep it moving. It's a hard decision to make, but that's what they wanted. So it's very important to have these discussions, to iron everything out, to write everything down, to have it all on paper, to notify these people where this paperwork is, so that whenever the time does come, they can get it. They know what to do. They're not stressing. They may be emotional, but they know the next steps.
Yeah, I think I learned that from my grandmother and my great grandfather. When they passed, their burial plot was paid for. So they had their space, everything was there. So all of the we had to do, all my mom's situation had to do is go in, follow the rules, and bury her. It wasn't, oh, how are we gonna pay for it, or do we need to get together and do all these extra stuff? No, that plot was paid for. It was already going. You go into this cemetery. It's already paid for. Go to this funeral home. It was already there. And I know my mom, she may not, I don't know all of the details, but I know she had a lot of stuff that she's already pre-done. And so my encouragement for her is to do a will, because I want to be able to, we want to be able to do that. But I learned from them. So I'm looking at my own life, especially after COVID, especially with my own medical deals and me understanding just the fertility of a human body. Like, yeah, let me go on and pay. Let me go on and pay for this burial plot. Let me show you. I want you to put me over here. Go and give me this cute, this little decent little dress. We not don't put all that extra crap on me. Just go on and make it. You have all this long drawn out. Sir, we not doing all that. Where you getting in and say all 12,000? No. And I want you to be here and forever. Go on with your life because you're still alive, and I want you to live it. But here is what you need to do. This is, but also I'm learning for my own situation that we have to put in writing that if something happens to me and their father, who's the person that gets custody of them? Because legally they're still underage. So now that becomes a very real, especially as I talk about getting a house. Who's going to be the power of attorney to do this? I have a paper I have an older paper that tells that if medically I go down, here's a person. I have to update all of that. But medically, if I go down, it's a couple people that know what to do.
Yeah.
Don't send me on the machines. If they tell me, I'm tell y'all I'm brain dead, let me go. I'm gonna hunt you.
Yeah, I know that's right.
I'm gonna hunt you. Don't have nobody hooked up to these machines, because it ties your loved ones to you, so they can't move on with their life because you got all these machines, and the machines are keeping your body alive, and they can't move on because there's no closure. Live your life. Because by the time my hope and prayer, by the time I get to that point, I don't live my life. I don't went all these different places. I got my passport stamped in different spots. So by the time I get to that spot, my thing is I want to be able to say I live my life.
Yep.
Let me go. But it is in our generation, in our culture, like you said, it's very rare. Old school used to do it. They paid They paid for their plots. And even if they didn't have a whole lot of stuff, they at least paid for their plots and say, put me in there, put me over there with grandma and them.
Mm-hmm.
It was a family situation. So I think we have to bring some of that back. We have to bring some of that back and make it real to say, hey, this is what we need to do. Um, so with all of this being said, for those who are, looking around, so let me say that dirty word, budgets. People think budget is the worst thing. And I'm learning as I've learned. My kids will tell you when we go certain places and they say, but mama, baby, that's not in my budget. I have to say that to them now in hopes that they'll understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because budgets are important. You may not stick to it every nickel, dime, and quarter, but you want to have a guideline, an outline to know what you're doing so that you don't mess around and not be able to live your life because you can't pay your rent, lights, water because you know overspend. So how important is it to do your budgeting and even taking a step forward, your reconciliation? Make sure what you spent, make sure your bank statement and all that matches what your budget say. How
See your face.
I mean, you're younger, so some of the stuff you may not do. Tell me what you think of when I ask that question. How important it is to make sure your budget and your reconciliation match. Come off mute. Come on. I done blessed the whole spirit just that fast.
But let's start with the budget. Let's start with there. It's very, very important. Because okay, so like I said, I'm in the Army. Currently, I don't have real bills. I have maybe one real bill. That is it. So I'm probably not as frugal with my money as I should be. There was a point in time where I was, but I am currently not at the moment and the only reason being I am not at this moment is because there's a holiday coming up for me. So I'm just spending and not really caring for it. The holiday. It's the national holiday coming up and I feel the need.
What the holiday is?
The national holiday is my birthday.
How I know. But it happens. It can't nobody judge you because it happens. Can't nobody judge you.
And it's also Mother's Day, but my birthday has always been around Mother's Day. So I look at my birthday as a national holiday along with Mother's Day. So therefore I am spending more than I probably should. I have pretty much canceled the original plans that I had for my birthday. Reason being inconsistent friends, whatever. So I canceled my birthday. But I am, however, going to go home. My mommy doesn't know this. I hope she's not watching this. I actually am going home for my birthday. Like I said, that is Mother's Day weekend. So I'll be there to spend time with her. And the money that I was going to be spending in either Vegas, like Atlanta, wherever I decided to go, has now been, I guess, minimized to a certain amount now that I know that I'm going home and I'm not going to have to spend as much money. And then looking at the things that I have already ordered, some of this stuff I'm keeping, some of this stuff can go back. Keeping the shoes, the clothes can go back. But it's very important because I had a certain amount set for Vegas. I had a certain amount set for Atlanta. Now that I'm going nowhere, it can go back. I'm probably going to wear jeans and a t-shirt. So as far as my bank statement matching my budget, there was no budget for these past couple months. I did take an unplanned, or I'm not gonna say an unplanned trip to Tallahassee, but I did take a trip to Tallahassee recently, and I did spend more than I should have. I spent way more than I should have, but I had saved enough prior to the point where I could spend that money and I still had money in my account to cushion me. So it's very important. Don't live paycheck to paycheck is all I can say. Don't do it. Save what you can. Think about your purchases. Being that it's so close to my birthday, I have no mind about my purchases. I see it, I want to go get it. That's just how it is. I'll start back up again, after my birthday. I'll go back to a little saving my paychecks. But right now it's I see it. I do want it. Do I need it? Not really, but I want it, so I'm gonna go buy it. And even on some of the purchases that I have made, I'm looking at them now like, okay, do I really need this? Am I actually gonna wear this? Like, not even just for my birthday, but later on down the line, am I gonna wear it? And that's how I make my decisions to send stuff back. But after the holidays over with, I'll go back to saving. I'll go back to putting stuff in my bank account because I do have a big purchase that I plan, 2 big purchases that I plan to make when I do eventually leave the Army. And that is new car, brand new car. It doesn't have to be a 2021, doesn't have to be a 2020, just a new vehicle. But I've also learned that when you get a certified pre-owned vehicle, 10 times out of 10, it's better than just a regular pre-owned, and it's better than getting a brand new vehicle, but that's just me. So new vehicle, and possibly, I'm not gonna be getting a house anytime soon because like my sister said, I am still young. I'm still figuring out a lot of things. I still wanna go back to school. And even after I get out of school, I'm still probably not gonna know where I want to live just off the bat. So apartment it is, or renting a house it is. I feel no type of ways about it. Because I look at, I do a lot of comparison to people my age. They're closing in on houses, closing in on land to build their houses, and I'm thinking maybe I'm not moving fast enough, but then again, I'm moving at my own pace and my own. So my car is gonna be my baby.
Yep.
As long as I have a place to lay my head, I'm fine. My apartment will be it. Like it will be my apartment until I decide to move to the next city. And then the city after that. And then eventually I'll make a decision. I do plan to have different properties in cities, not for me, but for investment properties. That is a different story. But as far as me and my well-being is concerned, it'll just be my main purchase will be the car, and then of course, apartment complex, and then realty companies, they run your credit. So that'll be the only 2 things that I'm concerned with.
All right, ma'am, Ms. Dorcas.
So I was just like you, girl. I was just like you at one point in time. I was a shopaholic. I love clothes. Heels are my weakness. I love shopping for heels. And then what I would do is I would get home,
5 or 4 or 5.
See, and that's exactly how I was. I would go in the mall, I would go shopping, then I would get home like, where in the world am I gonna go to wear this? Because I'm always working. So then I'll be like, okay, so I'm gonna keep the shoes, but I'm gonna take the clothes back. And that's honestly how I was living at one point in time, and until I moved. And when I moved, I kind of left my support system at home where I was. And I had a salary-based job, but I also had to get on a stricter budget because it was just me. So I created a zero balance budget. And basically that's Dave Ramsey. And basically what it did was all of my funds were allocated to everything. So I had gas, I had food, I had the typical house bills, I had miscellaneous items if the kids wanted to do stuff. I had shopping if the kids needed something. I had my phone bill, I had savings account, I had emergency fund. I had all of these different things, line items in my budget to where my balance was zero. So if I did have funds, say I didn't get my nails done 1 month, I had funds that would roll over into any category that I wanted to do. So, but as far as reconciling my bank statement to my just on my bank account.
I can't handle it.
And it is stressful because you look at it like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? And then you think back, it's like, oh, I did buy that. But what it does give you is, especially if you eat out a lot, if you shop a lot, it gives you that perspective of how much money you actually spend on certain things throughout the month. Like, you would be surprised. I did a reconciliation, not gonna say names or anything, for one individual, and it was like $3,000 spent at a convenience store, the corner store, $3,000 at a corner store. And I'm like, what are you buying at a corner store to be that much money? But it was like, when you have the funds in your bank account, say you had 10, 20, $30,000 in your bank account, when that happens, you don't really see it because you're not checking it, because it's like, I have the funds already. But which is why it's important to always reconcile those bank statements, because you'll have, and a lot of scammers do this, you'll have a 50-cent charge here, a dollar charge here, a 75-cent dollar charge here, until they reach that larger amount. And it'll be like 5, 10, 50, 20. Some of them have 100 and some change amounts that come out of your bank statement that you didn't even realize because you didn't check your bank account. So that's why it's always important to reconcile your statements and just reconcile them to your budget to make sure you're staying on budget, because your budget is created for a reason, so that your funds can actually go where they need to go, so that you still have the correct amount of funds left, even when you know how much money you still have in your bank account. But that's my personal. Business-wise, that's a whole nother topic. Because with your business, your funds are always fluctuating, because you literally have to go out and hustle for your own money. So you don't know how much money is going to come in when you're not on a set salary. So you have to focus your budget around what is needed for that business. What are your projected expenses for that business? And then you have to work your behind off to at least get that amount of money. And then when you have your personal budget in place, at least you know how much you need to bring in. Then you have to hustle your behind off to make all of those funds. If you don't, then you're going to be short. If you do, then at least you've covered everything, but you don't have anything left. So that's why it's really important to make sure you reconcile your bank statements and try to stick to a budget, and then work your behind off to get to it if you're a business owner. If not, and you have a set salary, which I used to have, then you know how much you're bringing in. So you have to shape your budget around the funds that you're bringing in. But like I said, I used to shop like crazy. Ross was my favorite store. The mall was my favorite store. I would go crazy in Walmart. Shopping was just shopping to me. And I eventually had to learn that I couldn't just spend money whenever I wanted to spend money. I had to stick to my budget. Like, if I had an event or I knew a birthday was coming up, I had to budget for that, because I knew, okay, so I'm gonna have to spend this, like you did with your trips. I'm gonna have to spend this amount and this amount and this amount on certain things for my trip. And so if that trip was canceled, like you did, you were able to switch it around, go somewhere else, and still stay on budget.
Yeah,
But
I don't like the mall. I don't like going in person shopping. I like to do my stuff online.
What? I like to try my stuff on.
Work, too much energy, and
I have to. My thighs are huge, so everything don't fit right.
I think I'm learning because, like you say, that person, the cornerstone of mine is I'm a food person. So it's nothing for me to go grab lunch or, well, I'm gonna stop by here and grab this. And like you said, the corner store, you get snacks, and you don't even realize. And I think even in my church, my pastor said, he said, for one whole month, sit down and go through your banking and see where all your money going. And you start looking, oh, it's not that bad. I'm not that. McDonald's, Wendy's. Ooh. Look, okay, that's the deli shop. That's Cheese gas station. And when you start looking, you like,
dang.
Get from, and don't mess around and go in some of these places with the kids. Mama cannot have it. You ain't thought nothing about it. Okay, because like you say, you swiped your card and kept the party moving. So when you start doing this and carry the one, it's like, well, Jesus. I all this McDonald's, because I remember that. Look, you be like, I remember when I wanted taco, so I don't want to Tijuana Flats, I don't want Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A. Whew. Let's see, Churches, chicken. Let's see. And you just start. I done hit the Harris Tea, the hot bar. Let's see, got me a sub here. And by the time you look down and you like, I need to take my lunch and I need to eat breakfast at home because this don't make no daggone sense. And then I got that one there. If she counted up, her truly took into consideration her Starbucks habit.
I'm scared to check my bank account and just type in Starbucks. I just know I'm gonna just keep scrolling and keep scrolling and keep scrolling. It's just gonna be Starbucks, but I can't help that because.
Right. But you just don't. But you don't.
I've already.
You don't even think about it. You just go and swipe the card and keep.
I've actually gotten better. I've gotten better. There would be a time where I would be able to go to Starbucks and have, multiple coffees in one day.
Girl,
if that's one thing I don't love, I love the Starbucks coffee. But I've actually gotten to the point where I actually evaluate the outside weather and how I feel, and I get one coffee. And then if I do go back to Starbucks for a second time, I will get a refresher for the afternoon instead of getting another coffee. And then I take into account of what I order. So instead of ordering that regular whatever, I order a non-fat, no whip, no foam. So I'm being considerate of what I'm drinking.
Do you use the points at Starbucks? The point system?
I use it when I'm not on the base. Because the Starbucks that I go to here is tied into our hospital. So the only time I even go to Starbucks is when I have an appointment or if somebody else have an appointment. And they don't use the point system for whatever reason. But at this point, I feel like Starbucks should just sponsor me and send me some.
That part, raise your hands. My name is Angel, and I'm addicted to Starbucks. But it's like that because you don't realize what you're doing. And like you said, the shoes are closed because you catch them on sale and they're such a great buy. And, if you start consolidating at the end of the month, you be like, how did I spend that much? How did I spend that much money? I know it's a lot of people right now, and I'm gonna bust some hearts. I can name you about 15 people right now. If they ever took the time to consolidate Amazon, I got about 15 people bust me because of that statement right there. They have a box every other day. My mom was home shopping network in the thrift store. Network every day. Mama, what did you buy? None. She's like, well, I just saw that when I was watching. Never mind, Mama.
Amazon is my best friend.
Right, everybody. So
I love Amazon.
here's the next thing when we talk about budget and reconciliation. When you're looking to own your own business, how important is it for these skills to be sharpened when you're trying to, whether it's a small business, big business, it doesn't matter. How important is it for these skills to be sharpened when you owning your own business and trying to grow your platforms? How important is it to make sure that everything you spend is well documented? Ms. Dorcas.
Very, 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 very important. Very important. Whenever, and honestly, it just depends because I usually do on one-on-one basis instead of just in general. But it's very important because you need to know where every single dollar, every single penny is going in your business. For one, it helps with your protections. Two, it helps if you were to get audited. Three, it helps for tax preparation. Four, it helps you understand where your finances are at the end of the month or at the end of the week or at the end of the day, where all of your funds are being spent, if your business is actually making a profit or not. So keeping track of your funds is pertinent to the success of your business. Creating the business budget is pertinent to the success of your business. Because what's going to happen is, and I'm not going to say I'm not perfect at all. My business, I have ran into hiccups to where like she said, Amazon is my worst enemy and my best friend. But I have purchased items through Amazon, and it would be something that was not a necessity, but I wanted it because it was cute and it would be cute in my office. So that would be like my huge downfall. But it is very, very, very important to create a budget and stick to your budget. Whenever you budget, make sure marketing is a part of it. Make sure your registration is a part of it. Make sure your operations are a part of it. Make sure any systems that you need are a part of it. Make sure whatever software, any events that you may be attending, all of these things, including miscellaneous things and taxes. Understand that your taxes is going to be 20 to 30% of whatever you make. So make sure you have that amount saved for your self-employment taxes or whenever you pay taxes at the end of the year. So it's very important to have a budget to keep track of all of your expenses in a business. Just because you're a business, just in general, you have to know where every single penny is going or has gone in your business. I don't care if you went to Walmart just to get a drink. Keep that receipt, document that receipt, and say it was a drink that was purchased while I was working. That is very, very, very important to your business. And I don't care whether you do have a 9-to-5 or you're using your 9-to-5 to fund it. Whenever you're using your 9-to-5 to fund your business, make sure you put it in as your owner's investment. Don't just throw money into the business and not keep track of it. Throw money into it and keep track of the amount of money that you threw into it. You will be surprised how many tax write-offs you get at the end of the year by doing this. So just be sure. My main thing is keep track of everything. Your receipts are needed. Even though it's written down on your bank statement, if you were to get audited, they're going to come and look at your receipts. They want the receipts. They don't want a bank statement showing you at the Walmart. They want to know what you spent at Walmart, what you purchased at Walmart. It's always important whether you're a 1099 contractor, you're a sole proprietorship, you're an LLC, your corporation, whatever business entity you are, make sure you keep track of all of your financial records. So yes, very, very, very important to your company and to the success of your company, because it's also going to show you how you can scale your business and where you can take those additional funds and apply them to. So that's my take on it.
Okay, so we're going into that particular realm. Um, let's go with the next question because you mentioned owners investing in their business. How, when you're building a business and you're looking at all these different ways to do it, how, when you, like you said, when you do your investments, make sure you're capturing that. What is the value of having a platform to capture? Like, you and I work together, so QuickBooks is now starting to become my friend to consolidate everything in one place. Um, but how
Mhm.
important is it to have a business bank account separate from your personal account? And how important is it, like you say, to make sure that even the littlest of little things. And what about those business travel events? What do we need to look for? What things do we need to be prepared for? I'm going out of town to a conference. Can I write this off? Because it has to do directly with my business. What are we doing with that?
So for the first question, um, whatever platform you are comfortable with, whether it is Excel, QuickBooks, Gusto, what is it, Wave, and there's a few other ones out there. Whatever platform you are comfortable with keeping your books and reconciling your books, you need one. You need something that's going to pull all of your transactions into it, all your business transactions into it. And then you can go in and reconcile it from the receipts that you have to make sure that these are expenses that you did do, to make sure that these are the funds that you did put into your business. That you definitely need some kind of software, some kind of platform that you can do this on. Even if you do pen, paper, pad, you need it. I don't recommend doing it that way because it's going to be a stressor, but you need the platform to make it less stressful, because these are the types of items or things that people don't really look at whenever they start a business. The next question, as far as owner's investment and traveling expenses, as long as it is business related, it can be a write-off. You just make sure that you have to make sure that it is business related. If you go out and have drinks with your friends during this time, that is not business related. Drinks, alcoholic drinks are not, you cannot write off. Food, yes. They actually just made an adjustment to where 100% of meals can be written off as long as it is an actual business meeting or a business party. Alcoholic beverages still cannot, but the meals 100% can be written off. Before it was 50%. So it is important to keep track of these receipts also. As far as, what was your other question? One more question.
How important is it to have a business bank account?
Oh yes. Whew, that one. I should have remembered that one. Um, for one, as a sole proprietorship, you don't necessarily have to have a business bank account. Now, I'm gonna just put that disclaimer out there. It's not a necessity, because as a sole proprietorship, you're running your business as yourself, so you can have funds going through your personal account. It is highly recommended, though, that you do have a business bank account. You can keep track of your personal and, well, your personal, sorry, your business expenses and your business income. That way you're not mixing your personal and business, because at the end of the year, you're going to end up paying more in taxes. It's going to be, you get audited. It's going to be harder for you to keep track of everything for your business if you do not have a business bank account. Some people think um, that you can run everything through your personal account. Is you can, but it's not recommended at all. Always have, whenever you have a business, always have a business bank account. Now, for the other business entities, as far as the LLC, nonprofit, corporations, co-ops, all of those business entities, you have to have a business bank account. Without this business bank account and your commingling funds, you strip yourself of any protections that you have put in place. So your LLC, for your limited liability, your corporation, you're technically embezzling money if you do not have a business bank account, because your funds are going through your personal account. So in the event that what happens is, and this is outside of all of the finances, what will happen is, if you are running your business expenses through your personal account as any of the other business entities, you get sued, the court system will look at, is this business really a separate entity, or is it the same entity? So, because that's what they're really looking at. Are they two separate entities? Whenever you run your business accounts through your personal accounts, they look at it as one entity because you're commingling funds. There is no separation whenever you commingle funds. So it's very, very, very important to have a separate business bank account for your business. You can have multiple business bank accounts. If you don't feel comfortable with putting your taxes in the operating account, create a savings account for your taxes, create an operating account for your taxes, create a payroll account for your business. All of these things are going to help you with your protections in your business. So yes, it's important to have a business bank account in whatever business structure that you have, so that you're not commingling funds, so that your business is protected, and so that you can better understand where your business falls as far as the finances are, whether your business is profitable, whether you need to cut back on something, or whether you can scale your business. So it's very important to your business to have a business bank account.
Okay. Okay. Whew. Yeah. So
It's a lot.
and startup. How is it with getting startup funds for your business? Whether it don't matter if it's nonprofit or for profit. How can people look for ways to safely start up their business without, putting themselves into the hole? I mean, you're going to have to invest some money. That's a necessary thing.
Yes.
Where can they find help in getting funds to start up their businesses?
So you have different platforms that you can apply for grants. You can apply for low interest loans, and you can apply. It still apply. You can apply for angel investors or people to come in and be investors of your startup company. So there is startup funding available. And so what you'll need is you'll need a traditional business plan that's basically going to spell out your business from the beginning to the end, your financial projections, your operations, your marketing, the vision, the mission, and the purpose of your business. That's what your business plan is going to spell out. And this is what you will give to the grantors. This is what you'll give to the angel investors to see if they want to fund your business. And the low interest loans, you're basically going to need your financial projections. And I would still have a traditional business plan. That way the lender actually knows that you know where your business is going and where you currently stand as a startup company, because technically you have no history. You're just the beginning. You're at the very beginning. So it's probably going to go off of your personal credit as far as the lending goes until later on. But it's multiple levels to grants and funding. So you have the nationwide or federal lending programs. I actually just send out a e-blast about a few of these. So there's oh Lord, can I think of the name? So the U.S. Chamber has a few grants available. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up on my phone, because like I said, I did just send out this e-blast. But let's see. So yes, the U.S. Chamber, they have a few grants that are available for startup companies. And then you have women-owned companies, businesses that are looking to fund women-ran businesses, minority-ran businesses. And these are grants. Some of them will send out $5,000 a month. Some of them give them $1,000 a month. These may sound like small numbers, but they make a big difference whenever you're starting up a company. That's $500, $1,000, $5,000 that does not have to come out of your pocket. Then there's smaller grants, like statewide grants, and the statewide grants and loans, especially now that COVID has happened. They're looking to invest in small businesses that are just starting out and that are looking to grow. this is where your business plan is going to come into play, so that you can provide this to them, you can apply for the grant, and more than likely you're going to go in a pool of other people that are looking for the grant, and then you'll be selected. Then there are local grants, loans, and funding. You'll be looking at your local chamber of commerce's, individual small businesses that are in your city. Let's see what else. Local charities, nonprofits, local businesses that are looking to help out small startup companies in your business, well, in your area. The SBA also has microloans for startup companies, and those loans are, if I'm not mistaken, let me see. Yeah, they range from $500 to $50,000, and they have low interest rates of 6 to 9%. So these are the things that you can look at whenever you're looking to start a business and you're running low on funds. But my advice to you, whenever you do these things, make sure you have a thorough understanding of your business, because you're not the only person that is looking for these grants. You're going up against, it's a competition. You're going up against multiple businesses, startup companies that also have a thorough understanding of their business. So you want to make sure you know the ins and outs, how you're going to market, how you're going to create, how you're going to operate, how your finances are, what your vision is, what your goals are, what are your values of the business, what type of business is it, and is it something that's going to benefit society? Is it an industry that is growing, or is it an industry that is declining? So whenever you look for these particular things, just make sure you know what type of business you have. Your business doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to have an understanding of what it is in order to apply for these grants and loans and investors, because this is what they'll be looking for. So for instance, one is the Amber Grant Foundation, and they give out $5,000 grants. And I believe that's the monthly one. And then you have the annuity freedom grants, and these are for Black or minority ran companies. Let's see. And then you have the NACE, and the NACE is the National Association for the Self-Employed. These are self-employment grants. These are called the growth grants, and these are up to $4,000. Yep. So there are multiple programs, there are multiple loans, there are multiple grants out there. Do not, I know, are we live? We still live. Do not go out and apply for a PPP loan for your startup business. Do not. I don't care what nobody say. All this 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 that people are getting for startup businesses. They are playing with numbers on your application. I am telling you for a fact. I know people that have gotten in trouble, that have had their accounts on hold, that have been locked up for fraud. This is a federal grant. You do not want to play with the federal government. If you do, you could end up losing. If you have assistance, you could end up losing your assistance. If you have any extra funds in your bank account, you can end up losing all of those funds. You could go to jail for this. This is not, the PPP loan is not for startup businesses. It is for businesses that have been active since February 15th of 2020. You cannot apply for it if you started your business on March 1st, 2020. You have to have been in business and paying taxes on your business to apply for this PPP loan. Don't go out as a startup business. Let me say it one more time. Do not go out and apply for the PPP loan for your startup company. Do not. I don't care who says you can get it. No, you cannot. You may be able to, but you committing fraud. So yes, there are other loans and grants out there available to you.
Okay. My question now is, how many of these grants would apply to a nonprofit?
To a nonprofit, the nonprofits would actually have a different sector, but most of the grant programs that I did say, nonprofits can apply for.
Okay.
Yes. So you have this may sound a little bit bad. Nonprofits have a larger list of available grants to them because of the type of business they are. Because they're looking to help society and help the environment, or their business is created for a cause, you have a greater chance of getting a grant because of that type of business entity than any other business entity.
Okay. And how does a person who may have a disability in the midst of all of this, does that play a part in some of these grants? Will they be more apt to get some of this stuff if they're starting this business, or their situation with it and they already have per se a disability, hearing or anything?
I wouldn't necessarily say they would have an advantage. It could honestly boil down to your story, because I know some of these grants are about a story. I know the FedEx grant was about a story. That one is closed now, but it's about your background story. What were your obstacles and what did you have to go through? Or how was your life? Tell me why you deserve this grant. So it just all depends on what your story is, the purpose, again, the purpose, the mission, the vision of your business. Those things play a huge part in whether you are you receive a grant or not. You have to know what those things are before applying for it and being able to communicate them verbally to another individual without stuttering or trying to find your words. Like, you have a passion and they can see this passion behind it. So no, not unless, I wouldn't say if someone has a disability they would be more apt to receive a grant or a loan.
Okay. So my next question, how important is an EIN in for even sole proprietorships, any of the business types? How important is it to not use your social security number and get a tax ID number from IRS?
For one, it's free. It's no reason to not get one. It takes like 10 minutes or less. It takes 10 minutes or less. I actually had this discussion earlier. It takes 10 minutes or less to get one. There's no point in you not having one. As a sole proprietorship, you don't need one. The only thing is that you'll be giving your social security number out, your personal social security number out to everyone that you work with. So I highly recommend just getting an EIN to protect your personal at least. But any other business structure, is highly recommended to get an EIN, and you need an EIN. That way you still have the separation between you and the business. Because if you're running around and you're running a limited liability company, you're providing your social security number, there is no separation because you're running it underneath your name and not underneath the business. So I would say the EIN is free. It takes less than 10 minutes. There's no need for you to not have one.
Okay. So this next question, and we're gonna pull Angel back in because she's just absorbing over there. So what questions do you have in Angel's case, or do you receive in your case, Dorcas, about basic finances? What is the most preconceived notion that is either messed up, or what is it? What is it that you think people need to know about the most when it comes to the financial sector, whether it's business, whether it's personal? What is the thing that we're missing, especially when we're talking about the next generation? What can we do for them to instill knowledge, and how can we pull it? Angel.
I'm trying to think, because I want to say in high school did I have financial literacy? I don't think I had a class about financial literacy, but I did have one on computer literacy. It probably would be more useful to have a financial literacy class, mandatory for seniors to take, but optional for juniors to take. And the reason why I say mandatory, because I feel like the generation after me, or what is this, Generation Z, X, Y? No.
One of them.
Millennials, the newer millennials, they are not going to voluntarily go and take a class of this caliber on their own. So that's why I say it should be mandatory, especially in order for them to graduate, because college isn't for everybody. The military for sure isn't for everybody. Trades are not for everybody, but given those three areas, it becomes for everybody in a whole, in some way, shape, or form. So I think that financial literacy class would be very much lucrative. And even if they don't do that class, because I don't foresee that happening anytime soon, I would just say making sure that they're learning stuff at home. That the generation or the millennials after me are learning what they need to learn at home. So the same way that dads are teaching their sons to be men and moms are teaching their daughters to be women, but that is also another discussion that needs to be held pretty often in the household about credit cards, about credit, budgeting, sometimes splurging. Let's be real, people splurge. I splurge. I don't need to, but I do it anyway. That type of conversation still needs to be had, because you shouldn't be afraid of the splurge. Just know how to splurge, when to splurge. So yeah, I would say that.
Okay, Ms. Dorcas.
So my not necessarily in business, but just in life general, my preconceived notion that I get a lot is is between money is the root of all evil, and money basically rules the world. Money is everything. To me, and this is just personal to me, money isn't everything. I understand that money helps the world go around. It could buy you these fancy things. It can get you these fancy cars. You can do whatever you want with it. But I believe that your life and the way you live your life is more important than the amount of money you have. Not that I don't want to be a millionaire. I'm not gonna say I don't. But money will come as long as you do what you're supposed to do, and you're living a life with purpose, and you're putting your best foot forward, and you're providing it now, and this is in business, and you're providing the right service to your clients, or you're providing the right products to your clients. The money will come from just your personality, just that trust factor that you build with your individuals. The money will come, but we can't be afraid to let it come. And when it does come, always create a budget so that you can handle it responsibly and not spend it on anything that is not needed to be spent on. And I think that that's where a lot of people go wrong, is we think about money and we want money, but what are we doing to get that money? We always manifest money, but what are we putting in the work to get money? We preconceive money as the root of all evil, when it's not necessarily the root of all evil, because it can provide happiness, but we have to put that money to work in order to do it. You can't just hold on and stack the money. It has to be put into something that is going to create a return on investment, or an ROI, that is going to create additional wealth. So we have to be careful of thinking that that money rules the world. It is not necessarily that money rules the world. It's what we do with that money that can create a better lifestyle for us and for our family. Don't just sit on it. Actually, let that money work for you and put it into action. Put yourself into action to create more wealth. You get $1,000, well, you get $10,000, go put it into a home or rental property. Go apply for FHA loan and get a duplex. You live in one side and another person lives on the other, and they're paying your mortgage. Let that money work for you. And then trust me, it'll come back. It's kind of like you get what you give. So even if it's my last dollar, if I have $5 left on me and I see a homeless person on the street, because of the mentality that I have, okay, so you can have my $5, but I know I'm gonna be taken care of in the long run. I know that I'll be fine because I know what I can do in order to get that money back. I know what I have to do in order to get that money back. So it's basically you get what you give. It's not the root of all evil. It's just what you do with it that can create it or make it evil.
Okay. Perfect. Whew, tonight has been really, really interesting. Um, I thank you, ladies, for coming, and Miss Dorcas, I put your contact information in the comments, guys. If
Thank
you need
you.
someone to assist you, give her a phone call. I put her website there. As you can tell, she's willing and able to help. So make sure you check her out. You know, and I'm going on ahead and vouching because she works with me because she knows I'm a little. Let's be real. Money, trying self be true. Money is not necessarily my strong point. So, like, remember I said reconciliation, all that stuff. See, she gonna do that. She gonna go behind me and say, Michelle, she holding her head and drinking her wine because I done pushed her there. Michelle, listen, I need you, and that's gonna be. And she's gonna give me the list of stuff.
I
But
got you.
what she knows is what she will learn is that I keep every piece of paper though. I might come to it with a stack of papers because what you ain't gonna do is audit me and say, well, where is this? Hold on. It's in here somewhere. Wait a minute. Look, what I don't play with the I'm like, I don't play with them alphabet people. We don't play with them. I like being on the outside of the jail. We good. I'm not gonna test your gangster, Mr. IRS. I'm not gonna test your gangster. So, as the owner of a nonprofit, I'm learning. So she's walking me through my generation. So I want everyone to know that her stuff is in the comments. Reach out, website. She'll be more than happy to have a conversation. And if you're in that part where you're trying to get your personal finances or even your business finances, and like she said, she's a realtor also. She can give you some information. Make sure you check her out. So thank you, Miss Dorcas. Thank you, Miss Angel.
Thank you.
Such a wonderful time. It was a wonderful night. And I am truly grateful. So next week, the conversation is the exploration of marriage. And oh boy, it's going to be good. So be sure to tune in because it's going to be a great, great time. I thank you. Have a great, great night. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
You can stay on for a minute.
Oh.